I'll be painting the water lily, okay? Similar to this one, we'll be using a small flow brush and a pre-Happy Dot brush that used to be called the plum brush. I've got companion colors, Japanese Gansai colors. You could also have some white available. This is bleed-proof white. And this is a liquid color from Oriental Art Supply, known as Chinese yellow. And I'm using a less absorbent paper just for demonstration, so that will slow my brush down.
Maybe.
Okay. You can also have some liquid ink for your background, or you can grind ink. And I have a very small area here, so bear with me, please. Thank you. I've wet my colors, and I'm going to put some water in my water bowl. Normally, you should have about an 1.5 to 2 inches from the top of your water bowl so that you could scrape your water and from your brush if you need to. I have less here because I'm in very small quarters and I don't want to spill it all over the floor. So, okay. I've wet my brush, dried my brush, and going to have about an extra drop, 1 extra drop of water left in the brush for in my reservoir, and going to load it with some blue. And I want this blue to be pretty concentrated, so you can see I'm really working that color into my brush, and whatever extra water is there, or watery color, I'm going to get rid of by scraping it off onto my water bowl. And then I'm going to tip it in purple. And the reason why I'm getting so much water on, so much color onto my brush is because we want the color to be vibrant on the paper, plus the fact that there's going to be a dark background and we don't want the flower to get lost into the background. All right, so the stroke that we do for the lily is a bamboo leaf stroke or the water drop stroke, depending on whether you want your leaf, your petal, to look rounded or to look more pointed. So here would be a bamboo leaf stroke. Press and lift. If you wanted it to be more rounded, you can go from, make your brush a little bit less pointed when you start. And you could do that on your plate. Like that. And using the same movement of your brush, press, but could be tilted a little bit too. And then lift. And if you want this to be rounded too, you'll have to do a back stroke, right? Come back in and reverse like that. Okay. Here's my flower. Okay, so we get the petals in the back first. That would be these petals, and they're lighter than the ones that I have in the front. And I'm keeping this a rounded shape like a cup and saucer. Press, lift, press, lift. And this would be the center, so everything is going to be headed in that way. And Ning-ye calls that fish looking for the same food. You see this rounded here, like that. Okay, now I want to do that front row. So I take this same combination, the blue tipped in purple, and then I can dip it into a little bit of black ink, or even a little bit of the black paint here too. Blend on my brush, on my plate rather, to make sure that it's not too dry. If it is, I just add a tiny bit of water. And press, lift, press, lift. And I have a bit too much water on my brush, so I'm going back in and making sure that that's more concentrated. And I'm going in between the strokes here. These strokes, and you see where there's a space there, that's where I want the petal. So that's my flower. And clean my brush off, or if I had another brush, I could just use my other brush, but I don't. I want it to look like this flower has pierced the leaf. This would be the surface of the water. So I'm going to take some yellow, a little bit of that liquid yellow too would be good because it's very concentrated. It's a beautiful color and nice and opaque. And then get some, maybe a little bit of brown too. Okay, blend it on my plate. That helps me know what the consistency is going to be like when painted. I could even tip it in black if I want to. Okay. And I want this shape here, the saucer shape, that without being too matchy-matchy. So I'm going to make this wider, longer here. And my brush is going to be pointed down. And I'm leading with the tip and doing a little wiggle wiggle here. Get some squiggliness. Like that. Reload my brush. And this is a little bit too matchy-matchy, so come in with another layer. Extend that out. Here. Get my green. I'm going to go into my Gansai colors, which are the Japanese colors, and get a richer green. Blend it on my plate, maybe add a little bit of black here so that it's more natural looking. Use some side strokes. Right here is where the stem attaches, right on the bottom. So that's where I'm going to indicate with my strokes where I want that to originate from. Just like that. If I wanted to paint a shadow, because the flower will cause a shadow to form, just little dabs here. And I can do a few well-placed veins. And this would be where the stem would be. I'm going to put a little bit of red on my brush, so we're going to have a reddish brownish color, and make a stem come into the water. An imaginary line, press, and when I reach the edge of my leaf, land and pull. Edge of my water would be here. Like that. So if I don't want to do a full wash, I can take some of my colors on my plate and just create a watery effect so that the viewer knows that water.